Okay, people. Hope everyone is well. I'm going to try to give a little bit of explanation to the expression deistic mysticism. Now, I don't know if I would call myself a deistic mystic, but when people ask me about my religious orientation, and I don't claim affiliation with any organized religion. I don't really, I have very little sympathies, I guess, for organized religion, but I don't consider myself an atheist. And I do have some sympathies for the Enlightenment thinkers and their forms of deism, just acknowledging that there's something like a problem of origins and how it all began, and that could there have been some sort of creator, whatever that would mean. And I don't think you have to have a being, you don't need a guy or something like this. This is where the mysticism comes in right away. That there is, I guess, a question about how and why religious experiences are possible at all, or how psychedelic experiences relate to religious experiences, and how those are even possible. Like, why would that occur? Like, given all of nature's wild variety, all the different kinds of fruits and vegetables and different kinds of organisms, and the different kind of phenomena that those organisms can experience, everything from different temperature gradients to nutrient gradients to wide awake consciousness to dreams, all of the different kinds of experiences. Why religious experiences? Why notions of gods? Like, where did that come from? And I think it's an interesting question, and it requires, again, something like this appreciation for the mystery of our own being. And it's, I think, to anyone who's had any of those kinds of experiences, this question of one's own being is it's a parallel, or it's symptomatic of the same question of the nature of the cosmos, and why is it here? Where did it come from? And again, I don't think that one needs to try to get clear on it all, like theologically. I've always been frustrated, I guess, with some of the organized religions. I think of, like, particularly Catholicism, and you have all of these priests, and you have the bishops, and you got the Pope and the various popes, and all these different clergy, and all male. It's all these guys. And you wonder, how possibly can they still have jobs? How do they have jobs? And it's partly because there is a lot of good that people do for the poor, for the elderly, for the sick. And I mean, there's just a lot of social services. But I think above and beyond that, it persists because, despite all of their theology, and again, it's independent of all of the claims about God the Father and God the Son. Again, there's no God the Mother, no God the Daughter. I mean, it's so strange. But how does all this persist? Well, it persists because there's this mystery there. None of us know where any of this came from, and the mystery is profound the more that you dwell upon it. It's absolutely mind-boggling that each of us has come into being without being consulted and doesn't know the ultimate source of all of this. We don't have an answer other than, well, it could have been this, it could have been that, but at a certain point, it just transcends human imagination. And that itself is fascinating. I mean, not only is imagination something that's very interesting, and it seems, again, to align with a kind of mysticism and the capacity to imagine such questions of ultimate origins and to dwell in that thought. But it's more that we can get to the very limits of imagination, and there is this just profound mystery. And I think anyone who just wants to write off the mystery, some people can just dismiss it and say, well, there's no mystery there. I guess that I can't buy. I mean, my own life, I've had too many experiences that just the sheer being at all. I think maybe it's because I'm adopted. I've also had, sort of somewhat profound experiences in various ways. And I can't accept the you don't have to, acknowledge the mystery as mystery. But once you acknowledge it, I think you don't have to run to a dogma. You don't have to go, well, it's God the Father. See, I think the reason that you can't just go with it's just mystery and we're just going to stick with that is there's no way to make any money on that. The profiteering that organized religions do, it depends upon covering over the mystery with a bunch of answers. And I don't know if you need answers. There does seem to be an acknowledgement of this problem of beginnings. And I say that's that allure of something like a deism, or at least the deistic point that there is something like a need logically to think about how things began. And then it immediately drifts into a kind of mysticism. It drifts into a recognition of the profound mystery of our being. And I don't know if you need any more than that. For me, that's fine. I don't need spelling out answers. I don't need promises of divine intervention. I don't need promises of prayers being answered. No miracles, no life after death. It's a simple recognition of the orderliness of the cosmos that produced us, and we're able to think about that orderliness, discover more about it. So like, something like mathematics, mathematics would be perhaps an exemplar to turn to. And I'm a lot of the ancient religions that now have been covered over, they were about the discovery of mathematics. And in mathematics, there's, again, there's a threadbare discussion about whether or not math is invented or discovered. And you can say, well, it's obviously both, that humans have, certainly with communication technologies and timelines and, other ways of number lines, ways of organizing information that wouldn't have made certain kinds of math possible. So you can't really do division with Roman numerals, just as an example, the discovery of zero. And yet when we talk about it, it's some way an invention of humans and human creativity, various, like I say, communication technologies, language and such things. But it's weird. We invented a way of discovering an orderliness that's out in the world, but that's the same orderliness that produced the mind that is then inventing those tools and discovering that orderliness. So it seems to be interconnected all the way around. And I think if anyone's, again, thought about the nature of numbers and the reality of numbers, it leads to a kind of, for lack of a better term, a kind of mysticism. There seems to be something profoundly mysterious about, not only do we have things like pi and the golden section and this kind of stuff, golden ratio, but we have, Fibonacci numbers, you have imaginary numbers, irrational numbers. And it sort of overwhelms one. It washes over you at the more you think about, what is all this? Where did it all come from? And why does it have the order that it has? I don't think, as I say, one needs anything like an organized religious dogma. One doesn't need an appeal to anything like virgin births or divine intervention or life after death. But that doesn't mean that naturalistic atheism rules the day. I think there are some basic questions about origins and basic questions about why are religious experiences, psychedelic experiences even possible? Like, what does it mean to say that there is an organism that somehow can precipitate sentiments of transcendence, can feel oceanic connections between itself and larger orders? So, okay, people, hope everyone is well. Take care. Bye-bye.